colons and brackets. I want to just give you a little introduction that, or tell you guys that there are actually other languages besides Java that actually allow you to, well, at least it wouldn't require you to type in semicolon and brackets and all that stuff. Allows you to type a lot faster. Languages like Ruby, Python, scripting languages, those languages, if you know them, they're really good. They're really good in the sense that it's completely different from Java, and it has some really interesting attributes to it. So if you guys are interested in programming languages, be sure to check them out. It's called Ruby or Python. Anyway, so I hope you guys get a feel for what JavaScript is now. Any questions so far? Any comments? I hope it's been interesting so far. I got a cold 2 weeks ago and I'm still coughing, so sorry that I cough so much. Actually, talking about sickness, you know, I hear a lot of complaints about how Bangkok or Thailand is quite hot, humid. You know, I wish you guys, some of you, or people that complain, should try to go live in Michigan. And then you'll see what a paradise it is here in Bangkok, what it is. I mean, how nice the weather is. You know, when I sleep at night, I don't turn on air conditioner, just because, I don't know, I just get sick of the cold weather. And living in the US, it's also quite, the weather is really dry, okay? So you have to like put on lotion, especially on your face. I don't know, I just found that the weather in Thailand is just quite nice. Like, so sometimes when I hear people complain about like the weather being hot, I just thought to myself, like, man, maybe they should really go try living in America for like a year. They'll know how it feels. But then again, you know, come check back with me when it's Songkran time, right? I heard that it's really hot during April. So it'll be my first Songkran in many, many years. We'll see how hot it feels in April. So anyway, back to the topic of web programming. What do you need to do web development? You would need a web browser, right? You guys are all familiar with web browser. I recommend using Firefox. Most of the professional web developers use Firefox as their tool for debugging. So what do I mean by their tool for debugging? You guys are all familiar with Java. When you first started learning Java, you probably did a bunch of system.out.println to print out something onto the console, right? When you do web development, your console is your web browser. You will be looking at the output from your program from your browser. This is why it's very important to have a good web browser that supports you when you do web development. So if you don't have Firefox, install Firefox. It's a pretty good web browser for web development. There's a lot of add-ons that you can install to help make your web development easier. And text editor. When the time comes when you guys do assignments for me, I don't know when that is going to be. I hope that none of you will be using Notepad to submit my application. If I find out, I'll be sure to deduct at least 10% from your grade. Because, I mean, don't put yourself through that. I don't know. I mean, you know, I saw a lot of my friends using Notepad or like some really like lame text editor. I just don't understand how they can stand like no syntax highlighting. You guys know what syntax highlighting is, right? It highlights the keyword for you. And I don't know, tab completion. I mean, please get a good text editor. Like one that I recommend is called Sublime 2 text editor. It's free, right? It looks pretty good and it works quite well. I've used it in the past. So Well, I forgot to mention that you also need a computer, but with those three things, browser, text editor, and a computer, you can start doing web development. And you probably need like a good introductory web development book to help guide you through the learning about web development. Let's see, how are we on time? What time is it now? Oh, 10:30. What time should we break, John Pan? Oh, okay, okay. Sure. Okay. So you guys are not tired yet? We'll keep going, okay? You know, I mean, it was not long ago that I was a student, like just sitting there, like you guys. I actually completed my master's in 2009, so that was only 4 years ago. And I know how it feels to kind of sit through and listen to like boring lectures. This is why I spend a lot of time to come up with something that I hope will be interesting to you guys. And at least I hope that the stuff that I'm covering now is stuff that you're interested in, right? I mean, this is why you're in the ICE major. So if there's anything that I can improve, I already gave out my email. If you want to give me feedback, you know, I'd be happy to, or I'd be grateful. So next is we're going to start digging deep into programming. I'm actually going to start programming and showing you how, or explain to you the HTML syntax, CSS, how it works, and JavaScript. So in the beginning of the class, I mentioned about HTML acronyms, right? So what does it stand for? It certainly does not stand for only geeks, only programmers can come up with something like this. We spend so much time with computers that we don't really have time to meet with the ladies. But it's just something that I found to hopefully make you guys laugh. So this is not what HTML stands for. Don't, if anything, like, you know, someone asks you, don't tell them that this is what it stands for, okay? It's gonna make me really, really embarrassed. So why is HTML important? Well, it'll allow you to have food on your table. No, and this is just another image that I found. I think this image probably was taken during the .com boom, 1996, when I remember like the recruiter that came to my university, they said like at the time of maybe 1996, 97, like if you knew how to do HTML, they would hire you right away. It was that crazy. So this guy probably thought that he could get hired too, you know. But anyway. So what is HTML? You guys saw some part of it, right? HTML formally is basically just a markup language, not a programming language, okay? It does not have a programming language construct, but it is a markup language. It allows you to describe documents, how you want the content, what the content you want to convey is. And the acronym stands for Hypertext Markup Language, not How to Meet Ladies. And as I mentioned before, HTML is content, delivers content to the user. So when you start off with HTML, you always start off with that boilerplate. Just like how you get into a car, right? You want to drive the car. The first thing that you have to do is put the key into the ignition, right? This is the same thing. Like when you want to do HTML, when you want to create an HTML document, the first thing that you have to do is put in these two tags at the top of your document. So I'll show you what it looks like. Actually, I'll just base it off of the previous document that we looked at. So to start off with a HTML document, you just type those 2 lines. You don't have to worry about like, well, it essentially, those 2 tags essentially tell the browser that the file that you're looking at is an HTML document. And I want to also tell you that when you have an HTML, when you start off a tag, you always have to close it. So by that I mean, if you look at the example that I have here, you'll see that we closed the HTML tag. So this is how you open and how you close. The only difference is that when you close the tag, you always have a /. I never remember which one is like the backward slash and forward slash, but just that slash. So we're okay so far in terms of what those 2 tags are for. So the next one is head and title. What do these 2 tags really do for your web page? These days, web browsers, they don't really show you the title of the web page anymore, but when you go here, this is a web page of my brother, the title is his name. So when you put title into your text document, right? Well, this will essentially, whatever that you put into the title will be put onto the top of the browser. It is the title of the page. So how that looks on your text, in your text editor, is something like this. So you remember doctype and HTML, right? The next thing that you want to type in is head, right? And you put the title in there. So can you guess what the title of this page is? Easy. Yeah, no points, too easy. At first I was going to like program for you, just build it one at a time, but I didn't realize that I actually have to like hold the mic and also the position just kind of off. So I'm just going to work or describe the material based off of the file that I've already built. Whoa, wrong one. Oh, any Mac users here? No? Well, okay, so you see, for Safari web browser, it shows the title on the top of the page, and also it shows at the tab, right? So, whoa, man, it's really hard. I lost it again. So okay, I think you guys get the concept of title. So body. This is where you put your content. This is where you put content. You essentially you start off with body, and don't forget to close it. Let's see if I can, down below, but yeah, body is where you put the content of your web page into. And then p tag. The p tag actually stands for just paragraph. So any kind of text that you want to put into your web browser, it's always a good idea to start it off with like maybe a p tag. For example, another hello world, right? I put the text hello world and then some Chinese text in there. Now I want to show you something cool. Just because I put in Chinese here doesn't mean that it will actually render properly. Because do you see how, if you remember there was like Chinese text there, it was ni hao, which means just hello, and but now it doesn't look right anymore. The reason is because whenever you do your HTML page, always make sure that you have this tag defined in your head. This allows your web page to render foreign text or foreign characters properly. And you put this tag in your head, inside your head right here. So what I did was I commented out that line. That's why this text does not render properly. So computers have what we call encoding, and the encoding used on this page, for example, is UTF-8. But we're not going to go into the details of that. Just know that if you're going to put like Thai alphabets or some other foreign language that you know of, you always need that, okay? Meta chart set. So now that I put it back in, I refresh the page, and then the Chinese characters come back. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but for me to comment out that line, all I had to do using Vim text editor, I just had to press comma / and you see what happened? It inserted a lot of text for me, right? It inserted the left bracket here, exclamation, dash, dash, and it also closed it here. Vim, if you configure it properly, it will know how to do certain things for you very quickly. So imagine like if you use like a notepad, right? And you wanted to comment out that line, you would have to manually type in the brackets and the exclamation, dash, dash. But using a powerful text editor like Vim, you can configure it to, hey, you know, whenever I type this key sequence, I want you to comment out this line. And another really cool thing, how do you do undo in Windows? How do you, like when you type some text and you want to undo, how do you undo? Control-Z, right? In Vim, you can just press U for undo. So you can see that when you string like all these key combinations together, it allows you to do text editing really quickly. So I'm just showing you like the power of Vim, or the power of really powerful text editor. So H1, H2, H3, what do these mean? So previously we were on line 13. Now we're on line 15, 16, 17. So I just created 3 sentences with H1, H2, H3, and this is what it looks like, H1, H2, H3. So H1 is the one that is, so the H stands for heading, okay? So H1 means the topmost heading, and H2 is like the second most important heading, blah, blah, blah. When I first learned web development, I thought that the size of these H1, H2, H3 were fixed, but actually it's not. It's not fixed. You can actually use CSS to configure how H1, H2, and H3, or whatever tags you want, how it renders on the web page. This is quite an important thing to remember, that whatever you see on the web page, you can always override. You guys learned how to override a method in Java, right? This is similar. You have a behavior of a method, and you want to override it, right? In the web, you can do it as well. So anyway, H1, H2, H3, just remember that it's used for when you want to have heading for your documents. EM and strong. So EM stands for emphasis. When you want to emphasize a certain word or certain, I don't know, any text that you want to emphasize, you would use the tag EM. And then for strong, the default behavior for the web browser would make it bold. So let's see how this looks like in action or in the web browser. So you can see that when you put EM around a word, it italicizes the word, right? And then when you put strong, it makes the font bold. But the important thing that you should remember is not how it looks in the web browser, but rather think of all these tags that you put into your text into your text editor as meaning. You're telling the computer that, hey, let's see. Wow, cool. You're telling the computer that, hey, here, I want to, there's emphasis here. There's some importance for this word here. And here, strong. I'm not sure any of you guys have heard of semantic web, but essentially, right now, there's a lot of research going on that they're trying to put meanings or allow the computer to understand the meaning of the text document. When you use, this is why it's important to use these tags, because these tags, the web browser, they understand them. Like when the browser sees EM, right, it understands what you're trying to say, as opposed to just trying to italicize it using CSS. So why is it important that the computer understands exactly what you're trying to say in your content? It's because something like Google, if you build, hey man, your shirt. Hey dude. Tonight's Friday night. All right. So, all right, in a nutshell, I just want to tell you that use the right tag for the right job, for the right meaning, because it will allow the web or the computers to understand you or understand your document. And the reason why it's important is because when computers understand your document, then something like Google will be able to put your web page top ranked, right? So, for example, I mean, I'm just going to give a concrete example just to make sure that you guys understand. Maybe this is some keyword that is really important, like that people put into the Google search, right? When you put emphasis there, the browser will know, or Google will know, oh, so this is something that's really important on this web page. So you have more chance of Google picking up your document when you emphasize it correctly, okay? BR is just a new line. This is equivalent to /n in Java. You know how you have a string and then you put /n at the end of the string? It'll put a new line. BR is very similar. So what happens is that I put a BR after some and after of, and that causes the lines to become broken like that. Basically shift the word into the new line. So you can see I put BR here and here. All right. Well, huh? Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say that. Okay, yeah, let's have a break. How many minutes? 15? Okay. No. Hey, your professor is back there, okay? Go ahead, take a break. Okay, guys, let's sit down and continue with the lecture. Okay. So if you guys remember, the last tag that we were looking at was BR, right? What was BR again? New line, yep, new line. Okay, next one is UL and LI. Essentially, the UL tag stands for unordered list. So whenever you want to create a list, you would use this tag, okay? UL stands for unordered list, and LI just stands for a list item. So let's see how it's used in HTML. Let me close my brother's page. So here's an example of how I use UL and LI. First, I start off with H3, which is the heading. So I'm trying to describe my hobbies. And for the list of items of my hobbies, I have 3 things. I have reading, I have programming, and having dinner with my family. Very geeky hobbies. So how does it render on the web page? So here's how it's rendered on the web page. Don't mind the reason why this is. Don't mind the reason why this is red for now. I actually have some code later on that makes that become red. For now, just ignore that part. But just know that when you use UL and LI, you would have what we call unordered list, just a bunch of bullet points. The next thing is the opposite, or the counterpart for unordered list, which is called ordered list. So that's why it's called, or it is OL. So when you have an ordered list, it signifies that you want something that is in order, right? So what is a good use for something like that? For something like OL? So like, let's say a list of things to do today, right? You would use an OL. So I start off again with H3, the heading, and then I start off with OL and then LI. You can see that in terms of the syntax, there's no difference between UL and OL, with the exception of, you use UL for one and then OL for the other one. But for the list items, you just use LI. So that part is the same for both UL and OL. So for my things that I need to do today include like finish the lecture, which is this lecture right now, and going to AIS and meet with my cousin, and then I actually have a to-do list. When I was working in the US, I got made fun all the time when I would have a reminder to actually go to have dinner, or like to, let's see, what was my daily reminder? I had don't forget to have dinner at 3:30 p.m. And I also had, don't forget to have lunch at 12. Because sometimes like when you work, you just become so consumed with like what you have to do that for me, like I just found it easier to just have a reminder for me to like do something. I just thought of sharing that with you. So, okay, moving on. This one, DL, DT, DD, these tags are go ahead. Oh, yeah, that is the difference. Now, that's a very good